How's it going, everybody? This is BeatTheBush. Today, I'm gonna try to convince you why you shouldn't buy anything at the store, at least things that are not essential. The reason I'm making this video is because when I go to a big box retail store, I see a lot of people with their shopping carts and they just fill it up to the max. It's like hundreds of dollars worth of stuff, and a lot of times, if I take a peek, the stuff that's not very necessary, there's a lot of junk in there, a lot of stuff that's not healthy, a lot of disposable stuff. So I'm gonna go over why you shouldn't buy any of that stuff. The first thing you need to be aware of is that every dollar you spend is actually worth a lot more by the time you retire, mainly because of compound interest. Now here's the formula I use. Every single year you have a compound gain of 4% if you invest it in a stock market index fund. This is a very low rate that takes into account inflation. At the end, you're going to get maybe a lot more than this, but the effect is about 4%, and you can assume you can get something at least this much. Starting at age 20, let's say you retire at 65, that means you have 45 years to compound this 4%. If you take this to the 45th power, it means you get 5.84, which means that every single dollar you spend today, it's worth $5.84 on the day that you retire. This is after the effects of inflation. So that $300 game system that you're buying today is actually costing you $1,600 by the time you retire. So you buying that system today is actually reducing how much money you have right when you retire by about $1,600. Take this to another level. Let's say you're 20 today and you buy a Honda Civic for, let's say, 20K. But then if you didn't buy that expensive car, let's say you bought something really cheap instead, like $3,000 car, a used one, and just kept on using it. Instead, you put that and invest it, and later on when you retire, you're gonna be able to afford something close to 116K. So that means instead of buying a Civic today, you can maybe be old and 65 and you can buy yourself a Tesla or something. Whatever the equivalent of Tesla will be when you're 65. The reasoning behind this compound interest should be, a little bit of incentive, because a lot of times you don't want to just save everything and just spend it when you're old and wrinkled, right? You still need to spend a certain amount today, but then you can think of it as you don't need to go so extravagant. You can just buy what's necessary, what is enough, rather than, just buying something very flaunting or something that's very expensive. Just buy something practical, and that's good enough. Another reason is the environmental aspect part, because when you buy a lot of these goods, you end up buying it and then you have too much of this stuff at home. You end up throwing a lot of it away. For example, a lot of the cleaning products are kind of toxic for everybody. When you're cleaning something, you wipe it on some towel or something and then you throw it away. It goes into the landfill, rainfall falls down, it soaks that up, and then all the chemicals leaks and it goes back into our water system, and then we end up drinking all this and then we get cancer. So I personally buy very little amount of cleaning products, and so in a big box store, there's rows and rows, or at least like 3 or 4 rows of cleaning products. One row for laundry detergent, one row for cleaning your car, one row for like cleaning your kitchen, all kinds of crazy stuff. You can actually make this stuff at home yourself. The third thing that can help you buy less stuff generally at a store is to realize that a lot of the foods that you can buy are actually going to kill you, give you cancer, things like that. For example, processed meats, the more of that you eat, the higher chances that you'll get cancer. It's really bad for you. Another thing is all the sodas and candies. All of those would just give you diabetes, really. All the candies has way too much sugar. All the sodas have way too much sugar. So for me, when I walk by those aisles, I just completely skip through all of it. All the sugary cereals and stuff, I don't buy any of that. I don't buy any of the sodas. I don't buy any of the candy bars. I do buy some candy actually, but in very low quantities. We've been conditioned a lot to have a lot of sugar for some reason. There's like commercials of soda, that we need to drink soda, we need to drink orange juice, we need to eat sugary frosted flakes cereal, and when we have candies and stuff, everything is laden with sugar. But you gotta know, people aren't meant to process that much sugar. You don't need that much sugar. You can get by by not eating sugar at all, actually. Because when you eat a lot of the plants and stuff, it converts to sugar. When you eat wheat and rice and stuff, it converts to sugar in your body already. You can pretty much skip all the packaged foods. Anything that has a long ingredients list and have a whole bunch of stuff that you can't pronounce is basically going to kill you at one point or another. If you keep on consistently eat those things, you're gonna give yourself health problems. So a lot of times when I see a big cart full of stuff that people are buying, I can just go, oh yeah, this thing, you really shouldn't buy that, you really shouldn't buy that, it's gonna kill you. That stuff is just, you know, bad for the environment, da 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 da. So for me, I can go to the superstore with clothing, with cleaning supplies, food, toys and stuff, and then I can give you a reason for not buying those things because it's bad one way or another. Another thing to be aware of is those 99-cent buckets where they have these really cheap goods. A lot of times you really shouldn't use those things for food because a lot of times those have Prop 65 warnings, and using those tools in your food will give you cancer because it's leaking whatever chemicals from those cheap tools into your food. A lot of times these big box stores also sell shoes, which they're usually sneakers or something like that, but most of the time when I look at the quality, the brand and stuff, they're actually really low quality and they generally will last you about a year, versus if you buy a quality brand, which is, you know, like a leather, actual leather shoe, it can be a sneaker that's leather, they can last a lot longer. When you have a pet, you actually need to spend money on the pet, but if you have a pet already, there's nothing you can do about it, so you actually have to get those products. When you get the pet, you gotta recognize that when you go to the store, you're gonna have to buy all these things for your pet. So if you don't have a pet, you're not gonna have to buy any of that stuff. A lot of times people would buy organizers and drawers and stuff. Buying something like that is really just shifting your stuff. You're just buying a thing so that you can orderly put them in a wall. A lot of times you can just get rid of a lot of that stuff rather than buying an organizer, so think about that. So that's it, you don't really need anything else other than food, clothing, and shelter. Most people have plenty of food. When they buy lots of food, they actually have so much of it, you gotta throw a lot of it away. So be mindful of carefully using the food that you do buy. Don't buy sugary stuff, buy more vegetables and don't eat too much red meat. Be mindful of the food that you buy so that you are actually using all your food. Most people have too much clothing. They have closets full of stuff and they actually have to donate most of it. Remember, people can get really carried away by just saying, oh, I'm not gonna buy anything. That's not what I'm saying here. What I'm saying here is that you need to still buy your essentials, and a lot of times people are buying way beyond what they actually need and it gets thrown away and it gets discarded. I'm just saying, you can be a lot more efficient and healthier by buying the things that you actually do need. And a lot of times people say, oh, I need this and this. That might be just what you think you need, and you might not know there's a good alternative to it. So that's all I have for you today. I hope this helps you be more aware of what you're putting into your shopping cart at a big box retail store. Don't forget to give me a like over here. Comment down below and let me know if these tricks help you, and subscribe over here. Thanks for watching.